And as well, it seemed to shrink when it went into the stairwell, because when it was outdoors, it was like that never fit under it. Yeah, and I was like, how did they get it up the stairs in the first place? And then it fell down the stairs.
Yeah. Yeah, how does it fall down the stairs if it's that big? Yeah.
But let's not get in too deep into RoboCop.
Yes. Maybe we should get deeper into RoboCop. No, let's not.
Special on the music of RoboCop.
We never ever go off topic on this podcast.
Right. Yeah. But generative music, a lot of times, very popular. Well, not very popular, but like when people started exploring what they could do with synthesizers and electronic music in the 70s and stuff like that, that was like a thing that drew a lot of people, because it was like, oh, you can fucking, it's, I won't get into it too much, but like you can patch kind of like stuff, modular synthesizer, Euro rack, you can patch kind of like the control voltage between it so it controls the thing, and you can have random, but it's not really random, but it is kind of random, kind of like sequences that's set up, so it very much feels like the synthesizer is playing itself, because you can have random voltage going to, say, the octaves, so it can go beep boop 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 beep boop boop boop, and then to the clock, and so it creates something that you're not programming it. And that's what a lot of noise music is as well, where it's like it's
machine music.
It's kind of like, it's just like, oh, what if we fucking, because you can create a feedback loop on your mixer, and it's just like, then you put like a delay on that, and like you don't quite know what so you're trying to nearly
I'm just really enjoying you making all the noises here of the machines, right? It's brilliant.
That's what goes through my head when I'm trying to play with something like
we had a very different children's version of the book. Instead, like the cow goes moo, it's like the synthesizer goes when you're done, the synthesizer down to the stage, it goes.
Well, I don't, and see, this is the thing is,
you don't know what I have to live with, guys. This is what goes on the whole time in this house. It's just random noises, and it's not the synthesizer, it's Wayne making the noises walking around the house, and I'm just like, oh my god.
You should just record them, Wayne, and make your own synthesizer of your own voice and release like the album, just your own voice in it.
I might do that.
Layered upon layered upon layered.
Beep boop boop.
And two annoyances in the background going, you have 4 seconds to comply.
And just me in the background going, oh god, oh god, oh god.
Just you going,
just
don't turn this thing down, I'll kill you.
I'll get a migraine.
See, it's so easy to laugh at your betters.
My worsers.
That's what all us bleep bloopers have to put up with.
Excuse me, I need to go to the bathroom. Enter done music here.
Plot bloopers. Well, that's, are either of you familiar with Sonic Youth? Have you come across Sonic Youth?
Hooray.
Yes.
What's your favourite album?
I don't have any favourite album. I have
familiar with the name.
It's not like I'd be familiar with them, BAU, because like a lot of like the music like that I'm not 100 familiar with, but I would be somewhat familiar with, stems back to the fact that for my first MP3 player, you loaded the files for it. And now, in fairness, we went, what songs do you want on it? And any song I asked for was put on it. Then you're like, I also think you might like this, and you know, all these on as well. And in fairness, most of them I did like. I just so like you hit.
I probably put Go on then. That's a Sonic Youth album. Like I wanked on your MP3 player.
You put Typo Negative on it. You put I think Roadrunner United on it. Those are just ones that come off the top of my head.
Fucking hell, you have some memory. It would have been that era thing when you said Roadrunner United, that kind of like, it was like, oh my
early
god.
2000s, yes, fantastic. Bloody hell.
The reason I remember those off the top of my head is because I liked those songs that were on it. I was like, yeah, I like these, but it was just a little bit early enough that you couldn't go, I like this song, I can easily find more on this.
Yeah, you're like, I like this one song and I will never find more by this band or this album ever again, because these are the only songs I have access to.
I think Sonic Youth might have been responsible for shoegaze in some kind of like thing.
Yeah,
I think people would have been influenced
anyway,
by it.
I get what you're saying now, and I know what shoegaze is. Obviously, we were talking about it like in one of the indie ones. But for a second, I actually said shoegate, and I was like, surely there's not a new controversy about shoes.
Oh no, what have they done?
those shoes are actually controlling
Is it?
Harvey Weinstein all along.
Me shoe.
Sandal in the corner. Do it. I don't want to wank in the plant.
Do it, Prince Andrew.
Ooh, got very dark there, didn't it?
Yes, it really-
But Sonic Youth. Yeah, Sonic Youth would be kind of like they used. I remember I got introduced to him when I was about 12 by
Yeah,
someone. who
hello,
was like,
Sonic
So
Youth. I'm
long
Wayne.
time ago.
that was like a chap that was,
Oh, yes,
homeless
yeah.
man in town was through the Sonic Youth album met you and was like, take
Yes.
it from me, take it from my hand, I can no longer keep it.
yeah, it's 100%. Like what? But Laura was just like, oh god. But they would have done, like I was saying, a lot of feedback kind of loops and. It was what was the way it was art noise,
yes.
but they do strange thing with guitars. So they got to a certain point where they'd buy like cheap guitars and have them detuned, and they'd use it for certain songs, and then they were like, "Oh, we have to use that guitar and not ever try and tune it any other way and bring it on tours." It got to a point where they had like 300 guitars or something when they were going on tour with them. So, yeah, but they do like they'd have a guitar for like drilling. where they just like drill into the fucking pickups. They might have another one where like they'd be like pulling a screwdriver up and down on the thing. So they do like they're really experimental, like really, but somehow they pulled it together into
More cowbell.
but like real kind of like catchy tunes. With it, whereas
Where it wasn't like cacophony of like, oh my god, this is horrendous. It was like, this is
Yeah.
kind of melodic rather than like, oh my god, noise.
I think it was just with the collection of the different people managed to do, and as well, like I mean, Kim Gordon, who was the bass player in the band, she kind of like held it together, and the drummer, they held it. You know, they had a very solid rhythm section, so then the guitarists could go off and do these things, and then they'd like some of their stuff is pretty fucking weird even by today's standards, like, but it was really like. Sonic Youth, they've always been one of my favourite bands and kind of like a massive influence on me musically, I think, with stuff.
They're just
To the
so
point.
fast.
Yeah, but to the point where just you get to a point. See, this is the thing that I quite like about noise music as well. I think it kind of it appeals to musicians probably more so than people who aren't musicians, because it is this thing about breaking the rules and just going, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to play whatever the fuck I want and I'm going to look whatever the way that I want. And Sonic Youth were very much like that, but it's that challenge. It kind of like, can you pull it
I totally
together?
get what you're saying, and yeah, it makes sense. But at the same time, you could not have said that more hipstery than anything. It's like you put the proper artist to understand.
This is the terrible because
Plebs
it goes
wouldn't
all
get
it sounds really pretentious and stuff, but this is the thing about it's like it's not like fucking jazz, but it kind of is.
Where you have
whereas
to
like,
listen to the notes they're not playing.
yeah,
man.
it's like it's not a thing that it's meant for everyone, and it's because like you do hear it and you kind of go, oh my god, I'm going to fucking hammer my head to death to escape this fucking awful racket
Yeah,
or whatever.
sounds
But
about right.
but then there's other stuff where you kind of go, oh, because there is stuff where it's like, oh god, I can't think of the name, but it was like it's more droney, but more kind of like low level and melodic. Generative style stuff that I suppose what a lot of it you'd hear it's after becoming more popular with movies where they kind of go about like soundscapes. So this is the thing where it's like with noise, I suppose it fits into something like a lot of horror movies you listen to now.
Yeah,
they'll
there's
have
just a
noise
constant
music in
drone,
there
yeah.
as their fucking soundtracks.
Yeah, because they do a lot of it to just have this sort of unsettling feel the whole time, where they have just this constant low drone in the background. So it's almost like kind of wind whistling in the background, but it's just there to have this unsettling feeling, and you don't know why you're feeling unsettled. But it's because they have this weird drone going on in the background that's just almost inaudible, but just enough to put
And
you
it
on
just
edge.
makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's it, you know. It's
But that's the power of noise, isn't
yeah.
it?
Because
The power
I like
of
that. I like
noise.
that sentence. The power of noise.
what was it?
That's the name of your new band?
Like it
What's
or
that?
hate it, it's powerful.
There was a movie that I tried to watch there the other night. It got great reviews.
Tried
It's
to
called
watch.
The Mentor.
Oh yeah.
It's about this ex-cult member, or she's still in the cult, who's going off to basically save this woman with special needs from kind of what she thinks is a demonic possession. but I just about 20 minutes into it when the woman with special needs started vomiting. I was like, I'm not watching this shit. But they were like, their soundtrack, if people listen to it, it is all very kind of like creaks
unsettling,
yeah, where it's not like music, it is noise, kind of like a
soundscapes.
In a movie kind of thing, it's called soundscapes and things like that. Then when it's a performance piece, I suppose people refer to it as noise music.
Yeah.
Where it's like a double standard.
And a double standard, man. Exactly.
So do you think you'd actually say if Morsbo was playing in your garden shed in the morning?
You'd be like, get out, Morsbo. What are you doing in my garden shed?
I keep telling you. No, but I get what you're saying. If it was live, I'm always up for trying a new live one. I can't say I'd
Me too.
whether I'd change it or not, but I definitely would try it, because I've seen it time and time again that going and seeing a live performance of an artist can completely transform.
It's miles different.
Exactly. It completely transforms the music and the sound into something else, into an art form. So, yeah, I definitely would go see it if they were playing locally.
And the amount of times that you hear yourself where you're like, oh, I'm not really mad about that band, and someone's like, you should see them live. You can't really appreciate them unless you see them live. Any band that I have listened to where I have not been mad about them, I would 100% be willing to see them live, because it's got to be a totally different experience from what I've seen so far.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like with noise, as you said, it is more like, it's not as if you're going to sit down with your cup of tea and your newspaper and go, I think I'll put on some noise music just to pass away the Sunday. It is more a performative thing, I think, and it is when you're standing there in a kind of a dark club or whatever, or a nice cathedral or whatever the sort of the setting is, with other people, hopefully, once coronavirus and all the rest tends to fuck off, hopefully, at some stage. And you have that whole kind of setting there where you're in the right mood, where you have the right setting, and people are like putting their heart and soul into it and all the rest. That's something that, I don't know, it just connects on a different level, I think. And it's just, you have that sort of whole experience. And then you can see where it's meant to go. And it's a different performance nearly every time as well, and it is this whole kind of thing.
Well, this is the thing that I like, where it is not just what it is about. Like, there's one of my friends, he's a musician, and his whole thing is he thinks that like musicians are meant to be troubadours and you should never play the same thing twice, and it's this kind of thing where you travel around and you play live gigs and you just kind of like
put a
improvise,
different spin on it every time.
And I think that's kind of like the essence of noise, kind of like to a degree. And as well, there is that kind of like extreme aspect to it as well, where it's like taking extreme music to another fucking level, like what Morsbo did, where it's like, oh well, all his version of death metal ended up kind of like being like a heavy influence on people that would have followed afterwards. With as well, even the singing, with a lot of the singing, it's like there's stuff where people, they're called contact mics, or piezo mics, which you can use kind of like, so say you can do like little round kind of things and they pick up fucking nearly everything. But some people, what they do for noise musicians, they put the piezo mics into like a tin can, an empty bean tin, and scream into it to get that kind of like, there's some stuff that Mike Patton does. And I think definitely with Mr. Bungaland, with Phantomus, where it's like elements of noise music in there as well, where it's like that insanity and chaos kind of done. So like people do try and incorporate it, but with noise, it is like, there's a band called Full of Hell. I think it's Full of Hell. They did something with Morsbo a while ago, or maybe it was a few years back now, but they're like a hardcore band, and it's very much like,
I mean, even look at industrial music and stuff like that. You're on the verge of sort of noise there as well. It's taking stuff that is not your traditional musical instruments. It's like, sort of
sample based.
And it's trying to recreate the noise of industry, I suppose, really was the whole thing. It's like, it's very metallic sounds, it's clanking, and it's, all these kind of things.
Back to that futurism thing where it kind of like started.
Would you guys agree though that like if the setting is right and if the mood is right, then you can like potentially enjoy any kind of music?
Oh yeah,
pretty much. I mean, like going back to a previous podcast we did, like, I mean, K-pop and J-pop, I would quite happily go and scream my face off at a concert, one of those, because it's all nice and shiny and fantastic light shows and fantastic production and all the rest.
I couldn't, because I wouldn't like to be part of that exploitative nature of taking advantage of these young people.
Well, that side of it is a bit seedy and all the rest,
Absolutely.
but stripping all that side away from it. But like,
just
I mean,
the
a
music
good show.
itself.
Yeah, absolutely. You could do all right. Yeah, I could quite happily go to a Kylie Minogue concert and just go, yeah, fucking
See, I couldn't.
scream along to that.
Yeah.
Even that's a bit too far for me, like. And I like fairly soft music that you can kind of
So
sing
you wouldn't go
to.
along and do the locomotive?
I don't
Locomotion.
like Kylie Minogue.
Oh yes, that's what it is. Locomotive.
That's just me. But
Yes. You
I
can tell I'm
do
a big
think
Kylie
that
Minogue
they're-
fan, can't you?
I do think that there's a possibility that I could enjoy noise music in the right setting. I think that if I was in like a full room